quite when I was young. I'd probably say when I was 17, I got into network marketing. Like I think any young entrepreneur should. I really ran into a wall in life in my entrepreneurial route. I tried a bunch of things. I was in e-commerce. I was doing this and that. And when I kind of just gave up on my entrepreneurial route, actually, I just took on a job that was paying $15 the hour that was knocking doors. As much as I was very young and naive and reckless and doing a bunch of things, I was always consistent to myself, to my route, to my path, to my newfound love, which was sales. Now I look back and I'm like, man, I had fun in my 20s, but I was so narrowed in on this. Would I change it? Not for a second, but that is one thing I definitely had to sacrifice. Besides that, maybe on a Friday, I could have been out later, but I knew I had a meeting on Saturday where I had an appointment for a sell something. I'm 26 years old and I love the life I live, but I'm still 26 years old, It's a big sacrifice.
If Kevin right now had $1 million and 19-year-old Kevin had $1 million, what would Kevin do now? What would 19-year-old Kevin do? Kevin, I've tried to do my research on you as far as like what I've been able to just find on social media. But I feel like social media doesn't tell the whole story when you're trying to find out things about somebody. So if I can ask you, the first question to start off this podcast would be, what is something that people don't know about your life story? And I want to talk about pretty much where you've come to where you're at now, the things that you've gone through. What is something that is not out there from your social media or that people don't know about you that you would like people to know?
And I'm probably softer than I look. I live a pretty laid back life, man. I rarely go out like I used to. I'm mostly working, and I just savor most of my time for. Unfortunately, I'm kind of fortunately, but most of my work is just my life. So, as serious as I might look, I think one of the things that I always hold is humbleness. I always try and have people skills. Anybody I meet, I'm always trying to be friends with. It doesn't matter if they're a rep from a company, kind of just came into the industry, or they're a big CEO of the company. I'm always trying to make friends. You never know who you meet.
So tell me a little bit about your early stages. Like I said, I wasn't able to find out too much about you, but I know that you've always been, at least from what I've seen, is you've always been somebody that was moving towards doing something, selling something, that entrepreneurial life. Was that something that you've always wanted to do? Is that something that you've seen yourself doing?
I started quite when I was young. I'd probably say when I was 17, I got into network marketing. Like I think any young entrepreneur should, to start off there. But, it was always constantly something. Is there network marketing, or it was something else, but never really commission-based sales. But it was when I started to get into, more aggressive things in life. And I think I came across sales because I really ran into a wall in life in my entrepreneurial route. I tried a bunch of things. I was in e-commerce. I was doing this and that. And when I kind of just gave up on my entrepreneurial route, actually, I just took on a job that was paying $15 the hour that was knocking doors in El Paso, Texas, my hometown. And it was just knocking doors and setting appointments for a solar company. And I'm like, man, that's all I got to do. Go knock doors, talk to people. And I started noticing that I had really good, drive towards it, really good results I was bringing to the company. And people started, acknowledging it. And I think they acknowledged it before me. And they actually started considering me for other things. And I think I just started falling in love with where this vehicle was taking me. And I grew in the industry, and that allowed me to learn a lot. So even to this day, I'm very thankful for the path I've chosen, because at the end of the day, it's one that you choose. It's people say life throws things your way and you don't get to really decide. No, you have full control on anything and everything you do, whether you're doing good in life or doing bad. You have full control on either changing that for the better or, derailing and going for the worse.
One of the things that I guess really I want to kind of resonate with is that a lot of the times I'm 22 right now, and so there's different avenues that I've been trying to figure out, different things that I've been trying. So I resonate with that story of you being within, trying to find different avenues of where you best fit in. What were some of those things that you tried that you really learned from? Did you have a mentor when you first, I guess, got started? Somebody that was there to guide you, or did you just have to figure it out as you went? What were some of the setbacks that you've encountered?
I don't think I really ever had a mentor. I had a family member at that time, still to this day, ex stepfather of mine that I had, but as close as a mentor as I had, really. A little bit of my dad, a little bit of him. But it wasn't until I got into sales and I met my real first mentor, um, you know, Argentinian blood, one of the hardest salesmen I've ever met, that really pushed me up and inspired me and just really made me acknowledge the the talent I had in me, the drive, the passion. And he showed me really the new bar, where the new bar laid within me, right? And I think I took that in. I didn't just try and hit that bar, but I constantly kept on pushing it and pushing it and pushing and pushing it. And when I came across opportunities within big companies, or the big opportunities came across my lap, I was always taking them, because anything that made me uncomfortable, anything that put me under pressure, was usually things that I got to meet another version of me that I liked a lot. Definitely more than the introverted version of me, right? The version that was more kind of social, more, because I didn't have much social skills, but whenever I did, I did encounter myself in a situation where I was social. That was a version that I always knew, but it wasn't the best version of me. So when I started really finding that mentor, he brought the best out of me, and to this day, I have his teachings in my mind, and now I get the chance of passing them on to new people that believe in the company and the mission that I'm pushing, right? So, but I truly believe that when you consider jumping into entrepreneurship, having a mentor will always, always, always be far more valuable than try to do it yourself. It's just sometimes people don't have the chance of being able to encounter a mentor, or sometimes worse yet, they end up finding a mentor that doesn't really provide the value that they need to take that next step in their life. And I think it comes down to us, when we're young, we really gotta, if you're trying to, a lot of the times, get further in life, you have to understand what the metrics are, what the parameters of success that you're accounting and you're quantifying as success are. If that's opening your, I don't know, skateboard shop, or selling things on Amazon, and you're happy with that, and you're maybe able to skip a job, that, if you're happy with that and you feel like that's success, you already beat 90%, 95% of entrepreneurs out there that are stressed, unhappy, maybe earning far more, but just stressed, unhappy. So I think a lot of the times when you're young, you got to find that right mentor that's able to teach you the ropes of entrepreneurship, but beyond that, really guide you through the entrepreneurial route in the first steps. And once you grab those first steps in path, it's something that it's never going to leave you. You're always going to have that hunger inside, chasing after your goals, and ultimately what everybody, they know that is a high performer in the entrepreneurial life, as I guess you could say, right? And the cliches and saying of such, is every high performer is a very self-driven individual, very isolated individual that will constantly be pushing at their boundaries and their limits, and trying to always exceed their own expectations.
Was it difficult for you? I mean, a lot of people at the young age, they go out and party, they're still figuring out their life. You were pushed into a scenario where you found and you were given those opportunities from a mentor. Was it difficult for you to find new comfort, or those things that you pursued and they were probably scary for you, and how did you overcome that?
Absolutely. I think I partied definitely a lot when I was in my early 20s, and I just got into sales because it was money I'd never seen before, as a 19-year-old, as a 20-year-old. It's money you've never seen before. I remember even like going as far as posting some of my checks on social media, and my aunts and family members be like, don't do that. Don't be posting your money that you're making on social media. It's not good. It's not ethical. It's not right. Yeah, it doesn't look good. And back then I used to be like, why? I'm making this money. I'm working hard. I could be partying. I could be doing a bunch of things, far more maybe than I already am. Or, I could be working an hourly job and be unhappy. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I would be probably unhappy. And I'm loving what I do, and I'm being successful at such a young age. Why can't you guys support me? I understand where you guys are coming from, but I think holding a young person down when they're showing signs of pride, signs of success, whether it's small or big, but just things that are always obviously building them and limiting young entrepreneurs, young guys like that. It's always bad, but as much as I was very young and naive and reckless and doing a bunch of things, I was always consistent to myself, to my route, to my path, to my newfound love, which was sales. And, I celebrated my 21st birthday in Las Vegas for the first time. I was crazy. I was spending a lot of money. So I'm telling you, I think parting to me in the younger stages of my life was definitely a part of the growth that I had. And I think that's the problem. That's one of my biggest philosophies, I think, with life. Like, it's better for you to get a lot of the crazy lifestyle, the party, the fun out of the way when you're young, so that when you start, and I'm talking young, like 19, 18, so that when you start getting to 25, you start taking life a little bit more serious, and you start focusing on projects that are a lot more mature, a lot more serious, and they're more progressive towards maybe where you're trying to get in life. But yeah, I think one comes with the other, right? Don't get me wrong. I still go out, I take my team, we go to Top Golf, we buy drinks, we do things like that. It's part of it. You can't just be 100% narrowed in and no, I can't go out. No, I can't go to a restaurant. No, I got to work. I work. Don't get me wrong. Some people leave. They look at Elon Musk, right? They look at Zuckerberg. None of these guys even wear jewelry or stuff like that. And that's fine. Some people are honed in and that's their passion. That's their drive. You got to find yours. Some other people, it's party more than work and, live through life like that. It just comes down to, I think, that balance of what you're looking for and the constant, again, drive towards success that you're looking for. What makes you happy and what fulfills you. Within that, you'll land. You will accommodate to what you really want in life and how you want to get it.
That's interesting. At that moment, did you feel happy with where you were going? And what I mean by that, I guess, is like the happiness of, the having to let go of, maybe people saw you different. Maybe people saw, hey, Kevin's making a lot of money. Maybe, the friendships that you thought you had were real friendships that maybe people started. Did you ever have that moments where people started using you for stuff? Maybe some of the stuff wasn't as legit of a friendship or support as you thought it would be moving forward into that type of life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, again, we come back to it, right? I think I learned a lot when I was younger, and it wasn't something that I had my wife play me like that, because I'm not married right now. But I had a lot of insight to be able to see which people were being in a way not fake to me. They were being not true to myself. And the reality is that I learned a lot. I had friends that would just wanted to hang out with me because I would buy bottles at clubs and be able to invite them. And to me at the time was fine, but when you're young and you're naive to the after effects of partying a lot and then waking up hungover and you still gotta work and your priorities are behind and you're alone and you're sad, you start noticing who's there. You start noticing what constitutes a friend, right? And I think when you're living that young, you'll cry about it. Sure, you have bad times. You'll whine. You'll lose friends. You'll have everything, but after that, you'll grow. And I think to me that was the biggest thing that I probably attribute. I think I did have some shares. I don't think I had too many that marked me or hurt me. I don't even think I could say that I feel like I lived conditional friendships or conditional love. No, I think I lived everything I needed to live in my 20s, and it was fun and it was crazy. And I'm glad I'm a person that's cognizant to those type of things now, because now I don't think I'd fall prey to a lot of the things that maybe at an older stage of your life would probably hurt a lot more, would probably, again, take jabs at you as a person a lot more. I think right now I'd probably be able to see it coming from afar. I wouldn't get into it.
This is interesting for me to ask is, what was one of the biggest, I guess, kind of in the route that I'm going with is, what was one of the biggest setbacks, one of the biggest, I guess, sacrifices that you really had to make or let go of something? Whether it was somebody or something that you were doing that you really loved in order to pursue this. What was that one thing?
To this day, I think now it's hitting me far more than than when I was living it, right? But I think giving up my early 20s for this, the love of that. If you're talking about love, you're talking about like sacrifice. If you're talking about giving something up, that's, you know, you might think it's a person, you might think it's an item. It's a stage of my life that I think I saw Alex Hormozzi talk about it not that long ago. He was talking about, you know, that you will give up that time, and sometimes you have to really evaluate: is that worth it for you? You know, is your early 20s worth $1 million right now? If you had $1 million right now, would you take it? Or if they were to choose the same thing, $1 million or your early 20s again, would you take the $1 million? You know, it's a crazy analogy. It's a crazy perspective, because, you know, now I look back and I'm like, man, I had fun in my 20s, but I was so narrowed in on this. Would I change it? Not for a second, but that is one thing I definitely had to sacrifice a lot. You know, nights that I could have probably been out with friends later on a Sunday, nights that, you know, maybe on a Friday I could have been out later, but I knew I had a meeting on Saturday where I had an appointment for a sell something, maybe from selling a homeowner to, you know, being in a sales meeting, selling a company to come work for me or with me, you know, having to be there on a Zoom call with other people across the stage. You know, nowadays, like, we're in a conference, you know, whatever I might have to be part of and help contribute, that I need to wake up early and do things like that. To this day, you know, like, I don't get me wrong, I'm 26 years old and I love the life I live, but I'm still 26 years old. You know, it's a big sacrifice not being able to, with my own money, with my company's money, be able to buy a nice car of the year. Me right now saving for, you know, taking a jump to Dallas, Texas, you know, opening a market there, buying an Airbnb, or, you know, getting an Airbnb, renting an Airbnb for a whole month, buying food for the people out there, paying for people's gas, upfronting money and advancements and sales. All of that is sacrifices, you know, all of that is big commitments you make at such a young age that sometimes you stop when you're doing payroll. Like right before I got on this podcast, what I was doing. And, you know, sometimes you stop and you're like, man, I'm still 26. Like right now, I could be planning where I'm going to go out and drink later on tonight. But since I end up getting home extremely tired, you know, I'm putting something on TV or I'm doing some work and I'm going to pass out and go to sleep, you know. But, you know, sometimes you stop and you realize, like, man, it's big sacrifices. Everything's sacrifice. And, you know, I sacrificed my early 20s, youth, fun, you know, possibly finding my wife, my girlfriend that will still be with me. I don't know. A lot of the times I have very little time for my personal and social life. That sometimes you stop and think and like, man, not what did I give up? What could have been of my life if I would have maybe given it more priority and more time? And what's the cost of that? But it's an interesting perspective, because you're always in life sacrificing something. If I didn't sacrifice that, I'd probably be sacrificing struggles and stress right now, which I'm glad I'm not living.
You mentioned something interesting, and I want to play this analogy is, if Kevin right now had $1 million and 19-year-old Kevin had $1 million, what would Kevin do now? What would 19-year-old Kevin do?
19-year-old Kevin, I think, wouldn't have done too many different things. I just think 19-year-old Kevin wouldn't have had too many vehicles and avenues to put that money in. Would he have made something with it? I hope so. I had a lot of cool avenues. I had a lot of cool ventures at the time. I had a lot of cool projects. I'm sure I would have. I honestly just think back then I didn't have the resources or skills, or maybe not even so much skills, just understanding at the business level what it really took to multiply money, to be able to diversify, to be able to get, you know, invest in the right vehicles that are more sustainable, that are more serious, that are more that are more safe as an ROI to put the money in. But I think 19-year-old Kev still had the fire in him and would have studied late at night, early in the mornings, and asked around, got on YouTube. And I think that's the crazy part about the world we live in right now. Being an American right now in the 21st century, in 2023, that you could go online and you could do your homework and you could ask around for references. You could be educated about anything you're going to get in, and you should probably have a good chance if, again, you do your research, if, again, you know how to study, if, again, you know how to ask for references, you know how to look around. You have a better chance right now of turning $1 million into two compared to like 1990 or, you know, 2005, 2003.
What was one of the first ventures you encountered when you were younger? And what were the obstacles or skill sets that you learned that you probably didn't believe that you can do it? You probably didn't think that, you were probably scared to take that jump. What was that first venture like for you?
First venture, I'm telling you, I think it was multi-level. I was just talking to somebody. Her name was Cassandra, my head of recruitment, and she was talking to somebody else, another company. And like, yeah, I know Kevin. I knew him from Kiani, the multi-level company that I was part of when I was like 17, 18. I think that wasn't a big one for maybe a lot of people, multi-level, but to me, it meant the world. Like, to me, it showed me the possibilities of what working hard and being smart with your money could get you. You know, how what the power of duplication maybe could get you, right? I don't know how much money some people saw. I really don't know how serious a business people consider it. But to me, again, it sparked the fire. On that side, I think that one was one. But another serious venture that I probably was one of my first one was my first LLC, which was a traveling agency that I worked again alongside my ex-stepfather. Currently still a good friend of mine. And, I still sometimes get calls. So I sometimes still call people and they're like, what's Posh Traveling Group? And it's funny because that was my first LLC and it was fun. I orchestrated that and we were doing festivals. We were being part of festivals, EDC here and, Ultra here and there in Miami. And we were getting cheap flights, cheap hotels. And I was telling my ambassadors, hey, if you guys sell this many tickets, this many shuttles for EDC or this many hotels, you guys can get your trip here and there. And we were going strong. Man, I was like, again, 18, 19 as well. It was a fun little venture. It was, again, a learning experience. It was a little bit more of sparks within me that showed me that I had it in me to not necessarily, again, humbleness at all times, honestly, be successful, but that I had that drive in me to go after my goals.
Did you, when you first hit your big buck, did you see a change in yourself? Did you see a change in how you were moving yourself? What were some of the habits, I guess, that you built that you made non-negotiable at that point once you found out that you can do it and you saw the proof of concept that, yeah, you did make, your first big buck and you were consistent, you were motivated, you were driven. How did you feel in that moment? What were some of the habits that you started building?
I don't even know what I consider big bucks nowadays, right? I think big bucks for me at that time when I was young were like picking up 4 checks for 4 sales the same week in my office on a Friday, and back then checks were the most to me when I started selling water treatment systems. That was my first sales product. That felt nice, I felt like I worked hard for it. I got a lot of fulfillment from it, whether it was 5,000, whether it was 10,000, 20, I don't remember. But, when I was getting those type of payouts, it was like, man, I'm doing this. This is fun. And, another different instance, maybe when my first business opened and we had the solar company and we first got paid, getting paid out, pulling that money from the bank account was like, holy crap, this is a business. I'm a business owner. I'm getting paid off of sales and sometimes I'm not doing them. It was fun. I think that was my first, like if I was to get $1 and frame it and put it on my wall, those would be the moments.
What was one of your biggest failures? One of the biggest things that you went downhill, and how did you get back up?
One of my biggest failures, not that long. I mean, one of my biggest setbacks, maybe, right? I don't feel like I feel like failures could go hand in hand with this one, but my biggest setback was right before I opened Inex Power. It was one of my most recent one. It was a big one that made me question whether I wanted to stay in this industry or not. I had my ex company. I did not even want to keep the severance. I got like the last paycheck. I'm like, I'm done. I'm good. I'll figure this out. Trust me. And watch, But it was dark. It was some dark moments. I was taking care of my mom. I was my dog. I had a house to pay. And, I still had bills and I didn't know what I was going to do next. And in that moment, I'm like, man, I'm going to take a flight out to Vegas. And it was a revolutionary moment because it was really a lot of uncertainty and it still had not hit me. Like, shit, I'm out again in the venture. I'm out again venturing in the business world again. If I'm going to do that or am I going to take a break? Am I not? I'm like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm going to go enjoy myself in Vegas. I already had a trip planned out. I'm just going to go out, talk to couple solar companies out there, and I still took it, and it was phenomenal. I learned a lot, and it was one of those moments that I happened to be with one of my favorite artists out in the same city, and they were going to play Rufus the Soul. And it hit me, and it followed me here back when I came back to El Paso, and it really helped me through it. But it was a big, big setback that I felt I had, and I got back, and I'm like, man, am I still going to be in this industry or not? Should I stay in it or not? I had friends in Forex making millions, and like, dude, you could come work in this. I'll teach you. And it was really tempting, but as I was kind of like in the space, kind of like searching around, see what I was going to do, I had multiple people tell me like, you're already in this industry. Don't let a setback. Don't let kind of this sway you away from not sticking through it. Something you've built across the years, something you've dedicated, something you've sacrificed. Talk about sacrifice, right? They talk some sense in me, and to this day, I'm glad I didn't jump boats from the industry to another one. But that big setback, I guess you could say, that big failure of what I had going on back then, and I funded, I supported, I had all my hopes in. As a failure of leaving the company, it was something that I think I'm laughing now when I look back at how big of a jump I had after that. Right?
How did you overcome that? How did you get back on your feet? How did you realize that you did want to stay in that industry, and what were some of the steps that you started taking?
I remember working late, and I remember working early. I didn't cry. I didn't pout. My mother's face of like, God, is he gonna be okay? Like, because I woke up some days, I'm like, hey, it's for breakfast. Boom, I make myself breakfast. I go out, come back, do my thing, and there was no more money coming in. And to me, I just knew. I'm like, things are gonna be fine. They're always fine. They're always fine. For somebody that knows how to sell and produce and make money, things will always be fine. But I think that was one way I dealt with it. I was just like, I've been in worse positions. I've been in worse times. This is nothing. And I think me leaving as well, the way I left and the way I was certain that, the best thing for me to do was also leave. There was some level of confidence, and there was some level of just me stepping in the situation, me stepping in the role now I had. And looking back at everything that I was part of, everything I kind of pushed, the culture, I built as my first solar company, the impact I had in the city, the leverage that it gave me in the industry, the fact that I got invited to the first ever SolarCon as a speaker, leaving that venture and stepping into this unknown yet venture I was going to open up. I didn't know what it was going to be yet, but stepping into that, there was some level of confidence and security that I had in the unknown, in the darkness, in the pits, that I'm like, things are gonna be fine. I don't know what's gonna happen, but things are gonna be fine. And we pulled through it. It was a fun road.
What would you say to a business owner kind of maybe struggling through the same stuff, as far as, they're hitting these hurdles where you're just clueless, you don't know what's next. I think a lot of people want to plan for every little step or plan every action. Was that ever a scenario with you where you just leap of faith, and how did that feel? Like, I know you mentioned your mother and having to go through taking care of her. How was her support like for you?
Strong, always. I love my mom. She deserves the world, not because I love my mom or we love moms. No, that lady has been with me through thick and thin. She's been with me when I got the job at Charlie Clark Nissan, and I was 18 and 17, and I was going to leave $15 an hour in 2018, probably, not even 2016, 2015. And I was going to leave that job that I had gotten offered to go into commission sales, that nothing was guaranteed. And she supported that. And even recently, like I said, when I left my last venture, there was a lot of certainty, and she also knew it. She knew I was going to pull through it. And the fact that, she held herself tight, because it's very uncertain when you're depending on somebody, or you're not even necessarily depending on somebody, but there was some income coming in, and you were depending on that income from that person, and that person changes path, that just totally kind of shatters your world. And the fact that she kept it together and still supported me through it. And even, hell, I mean, we asked for loans and credit cards, and I was opening Inex, and it was something that she did without hesitation, and for that same reason, like all my wealth is her wealth. Like I don't know if you guys saw the story of this football player that put everything under his mom's name, and he got married, and then the wife was trying to take everything, and she realized that this guy was not owning anything. I feel like that's going to be the story with me because I trust my mother so much, and she deserves the world. So right now, to your question, like, what do I recommend some business owner that's maybe caught in the same position, maybe through a failure or maybe through a plateau, or high threshold he's not able to get through? If I was to look back, man, if I was to find myself in the same thing, I'd look for a strong why. I think we as business owners, I might run a sales team. We like to tell our sales guy, look for a strong why. What's your why? What's your why? But whenever we're held against the wall, we forget that we need a strong why to pull through it, and that's it. You don't need a magic touch. You don't need a big investment. You don't need a bunch of salesmen. You need yourself to stay strong, right? And people will follow as such. But that's the biggest thing. I think people don't really have a strong why. I think people a lot of the times lack that fire that they had when they opened their business, or when they were selling before they had a business, or when they were, again, before they had the big idea. They lacked that why, they lacked that fire, and they forget about it. But if they were just remember it, like my fire was like, hell no, I built that in the back, what's still running, I'm going to build the next one, and the next one's going to be bigger. That fire to me was incomparable. And, to this day, like, I think we're up there now. I think we're doing good.
What is your why now? Is it your younger self? Is it your mom? Is it just proving something? What's your why?
All the above. I think you were going to say proving somebody wrong. I think there's always the more whys that align with what your vision is and what your motive is. Like I like the I don't know if it was Michael O'Donnell or somebody in my industry that says just burn your boats. Michael O'Donnell's a sales guru and one of my most admired and respected sales guru right now. We have in the solar industry, really helping this industry with a lot of knowledge. But he says it himself, I believe, he's like, burn your boats. Burn your boats. I think a lot of us don't burn our boats. We get home and we have our wife, or we have somebody else, something going on, and we forget that we're not here for comfort. You're here because people believe in you. People depend on you. Your mother depends on you. Your daughters depend on you. Your sons depend on you. Your wife depends on you. Everybody depends on you. And the more you have that ingrained in yourself and your body and your mind and your soul, it becomes a non-negotiable when you wake up. As failure becomes a non-negotiable. I think a plan B becomes a non-negotiable. Again, burning your boat is the mentality you live in when you're, again, in the pits. And that's why I like always. Sometimes, like last week, I went out with my team to an outdoors here in El Paso, in between that and like Latin Solar, which is something I'm kind of helping organize right now. I had a bunch of calls and things like that. I'm like, you know what? I get off at 6. We'll get to that right now, and right there and then. Right now, I need to be there for my team, because I also do it not because I need to get a sell or because I need to prove anything to somebody, because I like getting myself in positions where I say that I can be it. I talk the talk and I walk the walk, right? And I think to me that's my biggest confidence boost. And even again, Alex Armazzi was one of saying the other day, like, you don't gain confidence by saying I'm going to be confident. You gain confidence by little wins, by little accomplishments that you say you're going to do and you do. And when you follow through with what you say you're going to do, you believe you're the monster you say you are.
It takes guts to do a lot of stuff. Now as a business owner, whether it's running payroll and making sure you meet payroll for your employees, whether it's day-to-day operation. What is the Kevin doing now that's it's hard to do, but you're doing it, and how are you managing to do it?
Right now, I'm actually definitely going through a mental battle. Like, I feel like extremely tired. I feel like last night I didn't sleep anything. I felt like I slept an hour, and I had to wake up today because there was a English appointment, and all my English salesmen were in house. I had to run one, but as much as I kind of like today, I needed to go get storage to go and put some of my purse, not all my things, because I'm also moving into another place here in town. But I'm going to be stepping out to Dallas for, Dallas and the Houston market for like a month or two. And I'm going to be definitely coming back. But it's big steps that I'm taking right now. I'm leaving a sales team that's running. I have New Mexico as a market right now that's officially not producing. And, multiple talks of opening that West Side, New Mexico, Las Cruces market. Well, not open the market, I'm sorry, but open an office out there for the sales team that we have over there in New Mexico. And it's just a lot in my mind right now. Payroll, sure, that's another thing. Like, I don't acknowledge how much I do myself, how much endurance I require to get through my daily tasks, my responsibilities, and my conversations late at night with my team and my mother, everybody that depends on me. And just right now, I feel like I need to depend on somebody. But I think that's the part of being a successful business owner, because a lot of the times you don't have nobody above. You might have a mentor. Right now, as much as of a mentor I have multiple people I can reach out and talk to, but it's conversations that you keep internally and you internalize that's hard, but it's not something right now that I know I haven't been through and I can't overcome. But every day it's something, right? And right now that I'm about to make that jump to East Texas and open markets over there, because I have people even waiting for me out there. 3-4 guys just selling separately with low cost, and I'm just helping them. And to me, it's like they need guidance. It's also weight on my head, So it's pressure if I stay. It's pressure if I go. So it's a jump. It's inevitable. And like leaving, my mother went to Vegas, to live with my brother, because she wanted to make that jump in her life, because she knows I'm going to be moving around. I have my dog that I don't know. I'm going to just take him to a Blitz house out there. I'm probably going to leave him with my family in Juarez. A phenomenal space for him in the backyard, and it's like they have a pool, and they're living a good life, and I would love that for my dog. So as much as it's like to other people, like, oh, it's little things. No, to me, it's like, wait, it's my family. It's as much as family as I have in El Paso. I really don't have much family in El Paso. So to me, there's some level of, what do you call it? Melancholicness, some feeling, some feeling of longing, what you had in the past that you're about to leave and you're about to take that next step in your life. And there's also a feeling of fulfillment, a feeling of, all right, we're taking this step together. We're going the right direction, but we're still going in a direction and we're leaving where we were. So that's the mental narrative that's sometimes overwhelming in my head currently.
What is one of those most important lessons that you know now that you want to pass on to anybody listening to this?
Stay true to yourself. I think looking back at everything I've been a part of, I've been kind of true to myself, but I've also been scared, not of something but scared to step into myself, scared to step into my full potential, scared to push that full potential, scared to take acknowledgement of wins, being too humble, right? I think a lot of people that saw my first solar company grow, I always said, no, it's a win for everybody. We all have a say in here. We all built this. And, as the years go by, people are like, no, man, you built that. That was you. You were the face of it. You were the push. People weren't there. You were there. You pushed it. And then when it grew, everybody wanted to take acknowledgement. And I was the person who's like, yeah, we all grew. We all were the owners and we all did this, but I think I never really stepped into owning it. And I don't know how far maybe I would have been able to take it if I would have acknowledged it instead when people tried to run the wheel of that business, and I kind of let it, and I was like, no, yeah, I mean, it's time for everybody to run it. And the business didn't do that well. I don't know if I would have understood what really got us there if I would have been able to say, no, this goes like this, and we're going to do this. And maybe, who knows, maybe that venture would still be at the level I had it in when I was really running it. So if I was to look back at anything, and I not necessarily want to change anything, but if there's any doubt in my mind of how far things could have gone or how different towards positive things could have gone, kept on going, it's always going to be that, like, believing in yourself, believing in your potential, and being honest with yourself. I remember when I was selling on the water softeners, and my Argentinian boss started to see me get in fights and me being conflicted with people. And I would tell him, like, what's wrong? Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm just excited for my wins, and some people don't want to see me win. Am I too arrogant? Like, what's my problem, boss? And he would tell me, look, there will always, and I love it to this day, I still hear his voice. He said, there will always be a bit of arrogance in success. You can't let people downplay your growth and your success because of arrogance. Arrogance is always going to be something you have to tame and you have to control. You can't let that get ahead of you. But you got to also step in and own the successes you've had, the little accomplishments that's gotten you to where you are right now. So I think everybody has a lot to thank themselves because they're at where they're at, even if it's not where you want to be. It's probably further than you were, right? So I think acknowledging that, and I love that, again, we come back to the whole Armazi perspective on it. The more wins you acknowledge, the more wins you say you did, even if it's brushing your teeth early in the morning, even if it's taking the dogs out for a park, to a walk in the park. All those, they add up, and they confirm that you are who you say you are. And a lot of the times we get those accomplishments and those wins, and we don't really internalize them. We don't intensify them. And at the end of the day, the person that needs to be rooting for your successes and your wins can be anybody else more than you. You have to be the one that believes in yourself. You have to be the one that when nobody believes in you, you still believe in yourself, and you pull yourself out of the ground. So that's the biggest takeaway. All the entrepreneurs out there that are maybe struggling because we live in a hard economy right now, because the market is probably slapping you around and fumbling you like a basketball. You just have to pull yourself up from your boots and believe that you have what it takes, even if you don't believe it, even if people say you don't have it, you do. I think all of us bring something specific to the table, and if you feel like right now you're not happy doing what you're doing right now, or in the partnership you're in, or with the people and the team you're with, then leave. Try something different. Here's the thing: you could always come back to that. Doesn't matter. You could always come back, and if they don't accept you, you could always open your own thing. But leave. If you feel like you're not getting further in life, you feel like you're giving up time, if you feel like you're just sliding through the timeline of your attempt at this success thing, right? At this entrepreneurial route. There's always going to be, I'll come back and I'll do it if it didn't work out where I was going. If I was wrong, I'll always come back. There'll always be that. So stay true to yourself. If you feel like you're not getting far, you need to really evaluate what you've done and the team, your support lines in your team. And if it's not a safe space, if it's not a productive supporting space, then you got to leave. You got to change it. And if it's yourself and you're the only one and you're the one man show and it's not supportive, it could also happen. You got to change the narrative in your mind. You got to give yourself easier and lower hanging fruit as far as wins to get to those higher ones. But you got to stay consistent.
Kevin, I have a closing tradition here, and what the closing tradition is the last guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who the next guest is. And so the question that they left for you was, if you can go back and change anything, would you?
It's a hard one. It is definitely a complicated one, because I look back at something, I'm like, I wouldn't change anything. And then I'm like, well, what if I would have changed that, right? What if maybe I would have... And the one thing I'd probably change is if I would have believed more in myself, if I would have taken more ownership of the successes I've lived, where would I be? But I think, again, no, because I don't think I would have maybe gotten the lessons that gave me the security and the way I see things now. Maybe it would just be something that was just there, and maybe I would have seen success, but I wouldn't have understood maybe why the success was there. So, no, I mean, as much as I would like to, I don't think maturely I would want to. I don't think well-rounded understanding, what everything I've lived in the past means and the weight it holds a value. If you acknowledge that and you understand that as you go through life, and you understand that everything happens for you, not to you, I don't think I'd change anything. No, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy where I'm going.
That's awesome. And Kevin, where can people reach you? What's next? What are you up to? What are you doing? I know the Latin Solar Convention is coming up. So what is that like? What are things coming up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, if that's the thing, we're putting the first ever Latin Solar Convention in the U.S. It's taking place this October in Las Vegas, October 25th and 26th. It's something that, I gave a couple of tips here to a person that was putting it together, and he saw some value in bringing me on. But at the end of the day, it's something that's done for the Latinos in the solar industry. And goddamn, am I excited to see the Latinos win in any industry, in anything we do. I'm a Mexican. I'm 100% Mexican. I'm not kind of Mexican. No, I'm 100% Mexican, and I'm getting the chance to live here in the U.S. and provide opportunities and growth and sales. And I'm also a proud El Paso person, right? I lived in El Paso, is my hometown. But I think, one thing that if you're Latino and you support Latinos, that's an event you should definitely go to, whether you're in the HVAC business, whether you're in the alarm business, the pest control, the windows, the roofing, the solar, whatever industry it is, definitely be part of something historical. That's the first year we're putting it together, and goddamn, am I pouring my heart into it, because I want to see it succeed. Not, again, for personal gain, but because, man, how cool would it be to have the Latinos hold their own solar conference and be part of an industry that's also very innovative, very new, and not necessarily insinuating that we have to go against other ethnicities or other races, but man, we are very underrepresented. And I think the moment that I see that we get a chance to really be represented, put our flag up as well, and make America strong for what it is, which is a unification of a bunch of ethnicities. A lot of people don't like the saying, but melting pot. But damn, we're definitely a country full of different ethnicities, from Chinese to African American to Mexicans to Latinos, Puerto Ricans, all these other Latin American countries, as well as Northern American countries, English descents. Like, the reality is, we're all here to support each other, and this Latin Solar Convention that we're all going to be part of as an industry is definitely going to give a different voice and a different perspective to people. So again, it's going to be on October 25th, 26th. You can follow me on social media. As my again, name on everything is Kevin Silva. But if there's one thing I definitely like to put up right now, is that Latin Solar Convention, because we're doing a lot for this event. I'm also scaling my business right now and taking big leaps. I'm also having to stay on top of a big dynamic that the event's holding, which is giving a voice to people in the solar space, solar Latinos. We live in El Paso. We have a lot of Latin, Latino and Hispanic mainly, right? Solar leaders in the city. And I posted the other day, when they made that flyer for me as an organizer, like, big things are coming to El Paso, and I hope people own up to that and they feel like they're part of this event. Even if I haven't had the chance to reach out to your solar business owner, if you're a solar sales rep that has influence, even if you don't, if you want to, have influence, be part of it. Like, don't let this first Latin solar convention pass you. You're Latin, you're Hispanic, you're in the solar space. It's the first ever Latin solar convention. Don't be the person that says, oh no, I can't be it. Step up to it. Own up. We were talking about owning, right? Owning up to things, owning your own successes. This is the time to own the success of being Latino during the time that the first ever Latin solar convention is being up. Step up, reach out to me, send me a message, see how you can get involved. I need a lot of help. Right now, we're going to do a national call for a form that I put together for the Latin Solar Convention for talent. We need marketing talent. We need graphic designers. We need videographers. We need editors. We need a bunch of different things, And I think right now, if you can provide any help, I'm not saying even at the market level. I'm just saying at the influence level, at the presence level, or even just being part of this event. It's a beautiful cause that we have for this event, and I think it's happening. Well, I don't think it's happening, but I think it's happening for the people, and it's going to happen regardless. And the fact that we're getting a chance to live it, again, it's ludicrous. So